and take our bones.
Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning up to my channel. This is my second game modding tutorial, and man, it turned out to be huge. I really do not know which kind of a maniac will be able to watch it from start to finish, but if you will be the one, bro, heart and soul, I feel ya. Man, you're my blood. Well, probably it turned out to be that big because, I've decided to combine an actual Motorstorm modding tutorial with just, basic needs for the PS3 real-time memory editing tutorial, because I figure out that PS3 is not the thing I probably will never mod it at all anymore, so I've decided to make this a 2-in-1. Also, I must mention that this is the first time I make a tutorial on English, and I still have some troubles with English, so pardon me my poor choice of words, which I will definitely make at times, and I hope I've made it, understandable enough for you to understand how things are done. And that's about it what I wanted to say. Let's do it. Alright, so let's start this tutorial with several really basic things, because as I found out for myself, PS3 modding is not that kind of modding where you have everything laid out in front of you, and it can be kinda complicated at times, First of all, you'll need a DEX console. You can use an actual DEX console, but nowadays it is possible to convert your CEX to DEX via software. You must use one of the latest Rebug custom firmwares in order to convert your CEX console to DEX. In the description I'll attach an archive. Among all other things, there should be several screenshots in it that will help you with converting your CEX to DEX, because, well, it can be a bit awkward at several points. Well, they helped me, and I hope these screenshots will help you as well. But that's really not something I can show you right now, really not something I can do for this tutorial. So let's assume you've got yourself a DEX console. Now you need two programs: a Prodigy Target Manager and Debugger, and NetCheat. I'll attach links to the description as well. I'll attach as much links as possible. But otherwise, they're pretty easy thing to find in the net. I found them, so I assume you can find them as well. The next thing you'll have to do is to convert your Motorstorm eBoot to the one that is compatible with a debugger. Now, this is something I really can show to you right here and right now, and it is a pretty useful thing, because you have to do it for any game in order to mod it, because otherwise you won't be able to do a real-time memory editing. Debugger won't attach to the process of the game. So what you need to do is to launch your multiman right here, and then either you copy original eBoot bin to your flash drive, or you should connect to the PS3 via an FTP, and then you take the original eBoot of your game and PS3 game. Here it is, here the Motorstorm eBoot. I copy it straight to desktop, right here somewhere. And here we go. Here our eBoot bin, and in this folder we have our True Ancestor Self Resigner and Make Self Exe. They both should be in the archive and the link is in the description. So now we have to unpack our true ancestor self-resigner, and the first thing we should do is to make an elf file from our bin file, and this is a very easy thing to do. We just launch our resigner right here, press 1, press enter, and here we are, we have our elf file. We can close our resigner. So the next step is to make you know, that special bin file. Theoretically it can be made via resigner, but I'm not sure which command I should press. I'm not a pro myself, so I have a needed command right here. And let's just do it. So make self eboot.elf eboot.bin. We should name it differently, say eboot2. And here we are. Here is our eboot2. It is our new debugger compatible bin file. And that's about it. Let's rename this to original orig. We should save our original eboot somewhere, you know, just in case, because always do backups. But alright, now when we got it covered, this eboot2 should be renamed back to the eboot, just like the original eboot was. So what we have to do now is to copy this new eboot to our PS3 and replace the original eboot. Let's kinda do it, I suppose. Connect to FTP. Let's go into our Motorstorm folder. Here's our eboot. And we replace it with a new one. Replace. And that's about it. Alright, so let's assume you've converted your eboot bin to the correct one, so to say. And you've launched your Motorstorm, tested it, and it all went alright. And you've set up yourself with a DEX console. So what you should do about now is to launch your Prodigy Target Manager. Oh, by the way, one crucial thing I forgot to notice, your DEX console has to be connected via LAN cable. It won't work via Wi-Fi if I remember it correctly. So once you've connected your PS3 with a LAN cable, if your PS3 is a true DEX, well, either converted or real one, well, it will show its IP address right here, as you can see, and mine is 192.168.189. Yours can be different, but either way, now you should go to search for targets, enter the IP range in these two fields. After that, you click this green refresh button and your PS3 should appear right here like mine did. Now you should right click it, choose move to group, debugging station. After that you right click it again. This time you select add targets and your PS3 should move here into my targets debugging station. After that you right click it here and press connect. I already did all these steps, so my PS3 is connected. So once your PS3 is connected, you'll want to launch your Motorstorm with the new eboot. Mine is already launched. And you have to launch NetCheat at this point. So we click NetCheat, double click it. Okay. First of all, you have to make sure that you've switched the PC API to Target Manager API. Mine is already switched because you only have to do this once. After that you press connect and what's most importantly you press attach, and this attaches your process, your Motorstorm process, to the debugger. So at this point you can launch your debugger, and here we are in the code of the Motorstorm. So let's start it with several really basic things once again. First of all, some of you may wonder, well, what to start with, what we can do with this mess of hexadecimal codes. Well, as you might know, there is literally no universal decision, and in any game you just have to use your attention and you know, kinda deduct what you should, you know, kinda grab at, what you should use in order to get deeper into the code. Well, in case of Motorstorm, I've actually unpacked several save games in the Pacific Rift, and from that point I've assumed that the structure of how any car is written into the code is not really changed from game to game, so I've started with Pacific Rift and moved on to the first Motorstorm, and it proved to be a correct thing. That's what I've started with. So let's assume you, like me, know how the car is written into the code. Let me show you an example of how to do a search. First of all, you need to find yourself ranges. Right here you click find ranges, and NetCheat will find all available ranges that are currently used by PS3 memory. Now, this is actually important if you only start, but at this moment I'm pretty sure that Motorstorm uses two ranges of memory. This one from 5, how much zeros are there? Millions? Alright, from 5 to 6, and from 1 to 1093, yeah, let's say it like this. So how you do searches in this range is like this: text, match case, oh thank you, match case, enter your range, and you press here rally car, enter here rally car 01.01. Oops, sorry, LV01, and you press initial scan. That will find you all instances of rally car 01, which is Patriot Soldier, and livery 01, which is Tiger Striped 49 livery. That's about how you do basic search, and of course we've chosen text because we need text in this concrete example. It can be a different thing for another game or another value. For more complex things, let's kinda go into the game, so I'll show you a couple things. Alright, now as you can see, NetCheat is still scanning addresses, and among these addresses, well, there are several interesting things, and probably the most interesting one is a list of all textures, which I'll show you in the end of this tutorial, I suppose. As of now, all I should say that there are names of all the liveries in the game except the DLC ones, and from that list I've kinda just did a search, and after all I figured out that this Flame Job Soldier Too Hot For You one is named Rally Car 01 LV02. So I ran another search, and the most interesting address I found is this 56F55168, 56X55168, 56F, sorry, here it is. Here we also might click the update view. Oh, this one, sorry, after update. Yeah, so here now you can see as I change the car, it changed the livery, and once I change the car, it changed the number of the car as well. This here we have our cars in the code. Rally Car 03 LV07, and all the other ones as well. So, now something interesting to show you. Let's say I want my Tiger Stripe Soldier right here. It's LV01, and it switches back, because the game constantly writes into this address the correct livery of the car. So I can just switch this address to 1 and no, nothing will happen, it won't work. How to actually do this? Well, that was not an easy thing to find, but here's what you gotta do. You have to install a breakpoint on this address. Hardware breakpoint. Let me show you it again. This is now our address. We Ctrl-C it, debug, hardware breakpoints, on write, and we click OK. Here is the address that constantly writes to our car address, that constantly writes our name of our car into this address. Yeah. So if you open our disassembly, we can see how it works. It's std, which means store double word from R7 to R6. R7 is this nonsense, but it is actually not nonsense, it is actually this code 72616C, well, rally car. Rally car. And it stores it to R6, and R6 is our address. Now what we have to know is to understand where this double word is written into RC from. And it is actually right here, as you can see, load double word RC from R4. R4 is 10004FA0. Let's just enter it, I suppose. 10004FA0. Here it is, yeah. Rally car. This is the class of our car. And now let me say, before we'll get to changing it, this was a really easy one. We only have one pointer that goes from R4 straight to R6 via R7. It can be a bit harder. It can go through the buffer zone, so to say, and from the buffer zone there can be a pointer to another buffer zone. It can be a really hard thing to find. We got lucky with this one that I've chosen for example, but it can be a bit harder. You know, I figured that it would be much better if I'll just show you what I mean. So let's see, after the class rally car we have this 01 LV09, so let's try to find this 9, for example. This is address F55176, so let's add a hardware breakpoint on write for 56F55176, and we press OK. And as you can see, breakpoints must be 8-byte aligned, so yeah, we press yes, there's nothing we can do with it. And here we start with this one. As you can see, right now R0 stores byte in R9, which is 55170. It is this address, this 0. As you can see, it is pretty far from our 9. This is actually a really useful address as well. We should actually take a look at it. R4 is 10043A81, which is actually A80, because as you can see, between load byte and 0 and store byte, there is an add immediate which adds 1 to R4. So our address where R0 loads 30 from is not 43A81 but 43A80. So let's do this. 10043A80. Here is our zeros, but that will come useful a bit later. As of now, let's try to find this 9. So how we can do it? Well, as you can understand, this is kinda different from the rally car, because rally car is written by the game as a double word. As for this part of the car, the game writes it into the code byte by byte. So once it's written 0, it will go into the written 1. How we get to this point with the hardware breakpoints? Well, we have to press F10. What does F10? It makes a step. Here I press F10, and as you can see, the game moved to the very next step. F10, F10, F10. Well, it can be kinda long if we will make it by the F10s, so we just press play. And here is our next breakpoint. As you can see, R0 changed to 3-1, and it's written to the 56F55171, which is this point of code. It is our 1. And now, if we will take a look at this, R4 is D003FB11, which is a buffer zone of an address. D003FB11 here. Oh yeah, I forgot about the immediate. It should be 10. Here is R1, but around R1 there's complete mess of a code. And as you can see, it doesn't really look like something, something that makes sense. Well, it's true because it is a buffer zone and there's literally nothing to see here. I guess we'll get back to it just in a moment. Let's just skip it to the 9. And F10. And F10. And F10. And F10. It should be 3-0 and one more F10. Here, 3-9. Now we have 3-9 in R0, which means that it writes 9 into the 56F55176, and by R9 we can see that it is indeed the 56F55176. So let's see where the 9 comes from. D003FB11. It's the same address which 1 came from. So now we have to find out where this 9 comes from to the D003FB10. So we use our hardware breakpoints, and now we put a debug on write to this address. And we press play. And as you can see, the game kinda went out to its own business, and it's really not about the car anymore. It stores 0 in R1, which is completely not our piece of cake. And this is the reason why we can't really just replay that store byte function with nope, the code that does nothing, as the most skilled of you may think that it should work, but it will not, because this function is used by the many parts of the game, and replacing that function with nope will simply freeze your PS3. The thing is, the game kinda, to our eye, so to say, the game constantly writes the code of the car, but it is actually, the computer makes 1,000 of operations in between that second, so we need really first to make sure that the game writes the car. So we should add a breakpoint on a 55176 again on write. Yes. Now what do we have? We have nothing because we should press play. Here we go. Now we can be sure that the next step of the game would be to write 1 or 9, I guess 9 because 1 is already written, into the buffer zone, so we can now add a hardware breakpoint on a buffer zone. And we press play. Yep, right now as we can see, it writes 39 into D003 of B10. Let's take a look at it. R0 is loaded from another buffer zone, which is D003F988. Let's go to this address. 3F988. Oh yeah, 87, of course. I forgot about add immediate. Here's our 9. Alright, at this point it becomes kinda really complicated, yeah, and I have troubles explaining it, but let me try it. So in order to find where that 9 comes from into the second buffer address, we have to make another hard breakpoint on our car address. So it's on right, and we click OK, and yes, and here starts with 30. So as of now, we should go to our first buffer address, and we should check how much steps the game made till it becomes 9 right here. So let's do this. Step 1 till 1, step 2 till 1, step 3 place till 1, step 4 and place till 1, step 5 play. Here we are. At step after the step 5 it becomes 9. So let's make a full circle. Let's wait till R0 becomes a 30 once again, so it should be 39 now. Their game should go to some other places. And here it is 30 again, so let's make it first step, second step, third step. And right now we should go to our second buffer address, which is this one. And we should now set a breakpoint to it. And press play. And here we are. R0 is 39 and it attempts to store our 39 into the D003F9 plus 87, which is D003F987. And now we can finally see where that R0 loads its byte from, which is R9, which is 100444791. 100444791. Congratulations! Here we found an array of numbers which is used for liveries, except 0 for some reason. Because, you know why? Because those zeros are loaded up from the different address that we found. If you remember, just several minutes ago there was a huge array of zeros. For some reason 0 is not used at this array of numbers, but it is used from that array of zeros. So now let me disable our breakpoints and press play. And now we should replace 9 with a 1. Our Tiger Stripe Surger. Let's now go on to something not so complicated. I've just shown you an example of how to find it yourself. Now let's assume you do not want to mess with it and you just want to make it quick and simple. I'll show you how in a moment. Alright, so let's start an actual Motorstorm modding finally, and let's start with, with a really most interesting, most awesome thing is to how launch any track with a Grizzly level 4 AI, 15 racers, all that stuff, including Diamondback Speedway and the Eagle's Nest. So, right here I've got several addresses and codes, and that's really all what we need. By now I already remember this address by memory, so it's 1000 BEC0. Here we have Grizzly, and all we have to do right now is to write in Daytona. Now let's select literally any Grizzly race, like this Thunderstorm. And we launch it. Just a moment till the PS3 actually loads it. And here we go, we are on the Diamondback Speedway live right now, right in front of you. Ain't that awesome, right? That's it, that's all you have to do in order to launch Diamondback Speedway yourself. So right here I have a list of codes of track names. That's all of them, I suppose. And here I have, here in the code, we have all the tracks. Except, if you'll take a careful look, except Modpool, because for some really weird reason, Modpool has its own address, which is 10005148. Here, Modpool, I don't know, for some reason it is written separately from the other tracks. But it is perfectly changeable, and this address can be overwritten. We can go like Dust Devil Ref. Now we just have to make sure that this IH is replaced with 00 in hex. This is this 00 is what signifies to the game that this is the end of the name. And it will work. I won't launch it right now, just, you know, believe me, it will. Nothing bad will happen, which is not always the case. The only tracks which I do not have addresses for is Daytona, which is Diamondback Speedway, and Eagle's Nest, which is Road Runner 5, because I don't really believe somebody would like to swap a time trial race with another one. For what reason, I'm not sure. But I've shown you how to find the addresses, so if you want to find them, you can easily find them yourself. So now for the nuances. As you could see, it worked pretty fine with the Daytona, which is Diamondback Speedway, but let's say we want to drive a big rig up onto a rock hopper. So we write a rock hopper here, and we replace this Y with a 00, and we launch our Grizzly, which is now a rock hopper. By the way, one thing I've totally forgot to mention, yes, when we replaced that Modpool with a longer track, we replaced half of that address, which did nothing, and it was really not an issue. In this case, when we replace a Grizzly with a rock hopper with quite a longer name of the track than the Grizzly is, and as you can see, we kinda replaced a part of Coyote Rage as well, Coyote Rage. This means that you should not launch a Coyote Rage track while the Grizzly is replaced with the rock hopper, because, well, the game won't find a Coyote Rage. It will find like something PPER, pair or hopper or something like that, and there's no track like that, you will get a freeze. And you know, it all looks kinda good, right? But let me just drive a little down there. And here's what you'll have if you swap a Grizzly with a rock hopper. Well, that's kind of a massive glitch in front of us, but that's actually not a glitch at all. It's just a 2D, you know, environment background that is right in the middle of the track, because that's actually a Grizzly background, not a rock hopper. We actually can drive like right through it, like here. And as you can see, we fall into even more glitches. And now these things are glitches. Yeah, these are glitches for sure. But overall, it works. You can drive, you can race, but I assume that's kinda awkward and really not cool. So, how to fix it? Well, thing is, we have to separately swap an environment. Now here, down here, after the tracks in my file, I have... well, I believe I found them all. This is a huge list of possible skies that are used by different tracks, and here they are. So what we need to do in order to launch a rock hopper is to find one of the correct grizzly skies and swap them out with the rock hopper sky. I call them skies because they are named 3D sky. This is actually a whole environment down there. So what we need, in my case, because I already know, say we want to launch a thunderstorm, and I know for sure that thunderstorm uses this 3D sky grizzly mist file. So I enter this address, copy paste it right here, and I replace this with the rock hopper sky I'd like to use. Here it is. Let's say I'd like to use 3D sky rock hopper sunset. 3D sky rock hopper. And here it is. Now you can see we kinda destroyed the name Thunderstorm, and we have to put 00 here as well. Now if we will reload this page, instead of a thunderstorm we will have this, but that doesn't really matter. We just launch a track and we are ready to go. Bear with me a bit, I want to leave this unedited so you'll see how it loads, because, you know, real time, right in front of you, doing it, not a hoax. Here we go, yep. As you can see, environment kinda changed, and this is a rock hopper environment, so you gotta believe me, there won't be that wall anymore, but if you want to check it, actually, let's drive to that place. Here we are. Basically from this point you can already see that there's no wall, no glitches, your normal rock hopper, just as you usually see it. Now one nuance I wanted to show you is what happens in case you pick a really long sky name, which will not only mess up the name of the track, but the name of the ticket as well. Yep, that's good enough. Also, note that this is OI, not all, but OI. This is not a mistake, that is actually how this sky is written in the game files. I'm pretty sure I have not made any mistakes in these codes, because if I'd made, you know, one mistake and your PS3 is frozen and all you have to do is reboot your PS3. So it's pretty crucial to be careful with what you are writing into the code. So here we now do not have Stampede, and we actually can't select the ticket. As you can see, we kinda jump through it, and that's really not cool, right? So in order to choose a sky like this, we actually have to write in Stampede back into the game. Here we got our Stampede back, and now we can change the sky safely. Devil's Crossing. At this point it will launch normally. Other than this, swapping the tracks is the easiest thing you can do in Motorstorm. You know, you can just swap it and forget it. Play the game all you want until you have to reboot your PS3 for whatever reason. After that you'll have to do this all again, because PS3 does not save these changes. But I guess it's kinda good thing. Just imagine, you know, after you've changed it all up, before you close your game, you have to set it all back. Yeah, that would be a really difficult thing to do. And I guess another important part of the track swapping is setting the amount of laps. Well, the amount of laps is really stored in one address, and this address is 55E8B190. 5E8B190. Here we go. So we start our track, and let's refresh the view. Here's one place, and the second place we set it right here, let's say to 4 and 4. That's about it. We will have 4 laps once the track is loaded. I'm really not sure if both of these places should be changed or only one of them. I just changed both of them because, you know, I'm okay with it. And let us start the race. Here you can see 4 laps. Now, the interesting thing, the amount of laps, unlike all other things in the game, the amount of laps can be changed, you know, like on the fly. Let me right now set 5 laps. And once we will cross the starting line, oh yeah, the starting line on the Grizzly is kind of far. Well, let's just restart the race. And you can see we have 5 laps now, not 4. Yeah, if we will change it to 3 here and here, it will be 3. Either once we will restart the race or once we will cross the starting line. But as I've said, the starting line is kind of far, so I won't go to it. And well, that's about it when it comes to the track modding. Once again, 1 and 2. These 2 places in the code determine the amount of laps. Oh yeah, I also suppose you also should keep in mind that this is hex, not decimal numbers. So if you want 10, you do not write 10. 10 will be actually 16 laps. If you want 10 laps, you write 0A and 0A. Yep, this is our 10 laps. Also, I suppose I didn't really test it and I won't do it now. I don't want to freeze my PS3. I suppose not 1 byte determines the amount of laps, but I think 4 bytes actually determine the amount of laps. So the actual number of laps can be like above 1000 laps. You can test it if you want to, but I doubt any one of you will race 1000 laps. And I guess that's about it when it comes to the track modding. Let's go on to the next step. Oh well, now let's move on to the modding your car, and I think I should start with the description of how the cars are loaded in the game. So let's choose ourselves, and now really any race, and let's take a look at what we will have here. Modplugger 05 LV09. Now, it is really an awful method, but for some reason this small line, Modplugger 05 LV09, loads up from 4 different addresses by multiple pointers. There are a lot of pointers. So first of all, the game starts with a car class, and car classes are written around 1000235F. 1000235F. So here we have a Modplugger right here. Now, after the game written the Modplugger, it goes to the array of zeros to load a 0. 43A80. Yep. Here's our array of zeros, and the game loads the this first 0. After the game loaded 0, it goes to the array of numbers to load the number of the car, which is... fuck, I forgot, sorry. 44788, okay. It's actually 7789, yep. From this array of numbers, the game picks up the number of the car. Then, as you can see right here, after it loaded number 5, it goes to load this LV, the lower dash LV. This is our force address, 1000 EB2F. 1000 EB2F. Here we have, once again, it's actually D, oops, not D but E, but here we have the lower dash LV. Then the game goes back to zeros, which are, I believe, here, yep, and then games load the actual number of livery, which are once again here. That's how it's done. So let's start with the basic thing. Let's say what do we have here is a mud plugger only race, and let's say we want to pick up a bike for it, right? So let's choose our bike. Let's say I want a Mohawk Indiana. Yeah, second, why not? So let's take a look at the code. So the Mohawk Indiana 2 is actually bike 01LV06. We got to remember that, and let's go to the mud pluggers. And let's choose the very first mud plugger, which is Mohawk Slugger. And this is a mud plugger 01LV02. Let's check the third livery. It is 05. Well, so what we need to change is we need to change a class for a bike and a livery for 6. Well, now let's go to our classes. If I'll start change class right now, the game will instantly freeze because the game constantly loads this address and writes it into the correct place. So we need to pause our game via NetCheat. Now the game's paused and we can do our changes. We change it to bike. And let's take a look at it. Yeah, we have one of the unplayable AI Indianas right here. Now I have to change the 05 to the 06, and I'll do it. Once again, I pause the game. Wrong address? I believe this one. Nope. Once again, I missed this one. Oh, yep. 06. And here are the Indiana. Now, to choose this Mohawk Indiana, oh, get ready to the autism. Now we have to pause the game, change the 6 back to 5, and change the class back to mud plugger. That's about it. Now what we have to do is I have to unpause the game and simultaneously press X on my gamepad as fast as I can, so the game won't be fast enough to reload my bike as a mud plugger. So let's go. 1, 2. Yep, that's pretty much it. I'll be on a bike for sure. But well, let's just, yeah, wait and take a look at it. Yep, there I am on a bike. As you can see, it went good. So let's get to the next point of this tutorial. First of all, several nuances about class changing. Well, say I want to change this bike race to a big rig race. First of all, once again, I have to look up for a big rig. Let's say I want, I don't know, well, let it be Lunatic Buffalo. This is kind of my experimental ride. So let's go to a car address. It's Big Rig 06LV02. Good. Now the thing is, why you have first to look at what big rig you have to choose is because once you go to the bike class and once we'll change it to the big rigs, let me turn after update on. You see, once I change the bike, they change from say bike 02 to LV08 and bike 03 LV10. So the thing is, once I'll change it to big rig, it will change the class to the big rig, but in the code the game will still attempt to load the numbers that are supposed to be in the bike class. So I cannot really change the class to the big rig, I only change it in the code, I do not really change the class in the game, so I cannot freely choose any big rig I want. You see, if I'll say what we have here, bike 06 LV03, good, I think that'll work. And here we have bike 05, let's choose something like, yeah, bike 05 LV09, good. Good example, because say here we have bike 06 LV03, now we pause the game and change the bike to the big rig and press play. Alright. So you see, I here have big rig 06 LV03. I really now should not change the car, because if I'll go left or right, let's say left, how I did, you remember there was a bike 05 LV09. Now if I'll press left on my gamepad, the game will attempt to load the big rig 05 LV09. And there are no guarantees that there is actually a big rig 05 with a 9th livery in the game. It is quite possible that LV09 doesn't exist for the big rig 05, and I will get a freeze. That's why I first look up for the ride I want to choose, and then I kinda, you know, select the bike that is most close to it, the car that is the vehicle that is most close to it in the code name, and then I change the code name accordingly to the ride I want to choose. And yes, in my first example with a Mohawk Indiana, I did it kinda in a wrong way, but I was sure that there is a bike 01 LV05 in the game. Actually, what I should have done is to change the class to the bike and at the same moment change the 5th livery to the 6th. Just, you know, to be sure that I won't get a freeze. However, for the sake of the example, I've did it step by step. Well, as for your own experiments, you should do this on your own risk. But really, the PS3 freeze is the worst thing you can get, you just reload it and move on. Now let's take a look at the game. As you can see here, it's kinda awkward, yes, but I can assure you that it will work normally once we'll get it on the track, and let's actually do it just for the show. Let's change the big rig back to bike. Here we go. Let me check if I actually record anything. Oh yeah, recording is going. Good. And as you can see, my big rig is perfectly alright and loaded, and it will work correctly. There won't be any awkward thing like physics glitches or something like that, yeah. So that's how it works. Now let's move on to the something, well, probably more simple, but there'll be a tons of nuances as well. So let's go to the livery changing. The first thing I must mention, you know, just correctly, just absolutely must mention is that livery changing can freeze your PS3. I do not really know why, but the thing that helps is to select some DLC big rig or DLC vehicle or whatever you want to choose, yeah? You know, you just select the DLC, not like select into erase, just select so it will appear on the screen. Do a couple, you know, livery changes, and that should make the game more acceptable to the livery swapping. I do not really know why. That's just how it works. So let's go to the Big Rig 01 LV 04. Alright, now I want, say, my Rocket Girl Castro Varadero. Let's do it. Oops, that's the wrong address. I believe this one. Yep. So we change the 4 to 2 and yep, here's my Rocket Girl. And you choose it like you usually choose it. So you swap the 2 back to 4 and you know, press X. I won't do it. I already shown you how it's done. So yeah, that looks pretty easy, but actually there are several nuances. So let's say we want a death cap Castro Varadero. Thing is, the death cap is Big Rig 01 LV 11. That's a problem. The problem because, as you can see, we have a 0 here and a 0 right here. That means that we can't just go to our addresses of zeros. Where they are? Man, come on, zeros. Zeros, where are you? Where I need? Yep, we cannot just change this 0 to 1 because not it only turn our livery to 16, but it will turn our Big Rig to the Big Rig 11. We have now DLC liveries on Castro Varadero and it looks like it is easy and we can just, you know, swap LV12. In LV12 we can swap the 2 with 1 and it will work. The thing is, it won't really work. Now let me show you what will happen. Actually, nothing will happen. You see, the game just did not load that livery. And we now have a Castro Varadero 1, which is not the death cap. In the code we have Big Rig 01 LV 01. Why it happened? Well, I can explain, yep. Just in a moment, let me fix it back. Now we can choose our DLC livery again. So it happens because when the game loads DLC liveries, it kinda checks if they are a correct DLC and it just doesn't load the DLCs which has incorrect liveries in it, so it won't load a DLC with a livery 11. Also, I should notice that once the game goes from the liveries that start with 0 to the liveries of 10 and above, the algorithm of loading the number of liveries into this place of code changes drastically, and I've really spent quite some time trying to figuring out how to load the livery that is above number 10, until something really obvious struck me. We can just load all of this as a double word. And let's just take it right here. Yeah, we can just kind of write it all right here. Like Big Rig 01 LV 11, like a whole class. But the thing is, it won't really work. Do not ask me why it won't work like this. The PS3 will froze, I won't show this to you. But that got me on the right track of thought. And I kinda modified this idea. So in order to load a Big Rig 01 LV 11, we have to make it like I've written here to myself. First of all, let's choose the Big Rig 01 LV02. Now, I've used 04, doesn't really matter. But here's what we have to do. First of all, we pause our PS3. And now we go to the really nasty thing. We change class to the Big Rig 0. Now we change 0 to 1. Where our zeros are. Zeros. Here are our zeros. We change 0 to 1. We change our lower dash. Sorry. First of all, we change our 1 to lower dash. Like this. Now we change our lower dash LV to LV1. And then we change 4 to 0, but not 0 like 0, we change it to hex 0, I mean 00 in hex. Well, that should be about it. I can mistake though. Let's press play. Yep, we got it. Here our death cap Castro Varadero. And I really should not press anything, because this will make my PS3 freeze. All I can do now is to choose this Big Rig to drive. Yep, here we have it in the code. Big Rig 01 LV11. Now, to choose the death cap to drive, we must press pause and change all those stuff back. So we change this to 1, this to 4, this to lower dash LV. Oops. LV. This we change to 0, and class is back to Big Rig without 0 in it. 00, that's it. And now we unpause the game and press X as fast as we can. I didn't make it. Well, if I'd make it, I'd choose it, and at this point you actually can think that it's kinda really weird thing to do. Like, do you really need to do this? Do I really now have to change all that stuff again? You know, Big Rig to Big Rig 0, etc, etc? Well, not really. Thanks to one of my viewers who prompted me to do several request video, they actually got me thinking and searching and working, and I found out a really alternative, a good way to choose any car you want. So what you need to do is to launch really anything. Let's just for the test launch not a Big Rig, but let's say a rally car. So let's choose this one. In the code, this is a rally car 07 LV03. So we start the race, and now we pause our PS3. What we have to do now is select this rally car 07 LV03 and make a text search of this value somewhere in between 57 and 60. Let's make a scan. It will take several seconds, well, about 40 seconds. Now we have to find the correct address. I assume that is the one that doesn't have dots or lower dashes after it, so I'll start with 5. Oops! Sorry, pardon me, that really happens. And I'll tell you why this happens in a moment, because once you start the scan, NetCheat unpauses the PS3. I've completely forgot about it. We have to do it again now. Pardon me, happens with everyone. Let's do it again. Alright, so let's do this. We press pause, new scan, initial scan. Okay, and this time we pause the PS3 again. Good. Once again, let's wait for the scan to finish. Alright, and once again I see the one without dots allow slashes, so I'll try it right away. It's 57D4CC49, and it's the wrong one. Let's try another one. Here the 581D13F9. D13F9. Now that's more like it, but it's the wrong one again. So let's try another one. 82F8388. And this is the right one. How do I determine it? Well, above me you can see here my name above this address, some character model. Here is the big rig, which is driven by an AA driver, Pete S. And all the other guys are here as well. So here's my car. Rally Car 07LV03. Here is what we need to change to Big Rig 01 LV11. And don't forget to change it all to double zeros. And we can unpause our PS3. Let it load for now. And here I am, as you can see, on a death cap, without all that mumbo jumbo of car class modding and all that weird stuff, and without the degenerative unpause PS3 and press X on the gamepad as fast as you can, yeah, without all that stuff. So this method is kinda better because it is more reliable. You do not have to afraid your PS3 to freeze, but on the downside you do not need to afraid if your PS3 will freeze, only if you know exactly what write you have to write in the code. So I kinda knew I have to write Big Rig 01 LV11. And yeah, if you are just starting it, you cannot really take a look before starting the track, you cannot really take a look at the ride before the race is started. So in order to use this method, you have to know what exactly what car exactly you want to choose, and you have to know its correct name in the code. You do not have a preview of any sort, and the other downside of this method is you have to search for this address every time you start a new race, and every damn time this address will be a new one. This is a real deal downside. Unlike the other addresses, which are static and they are always there, they won't change, this address is kind of, you know, it's in another buffer zone, so it will change every time you start a race. Well, probably not much of a downside, but still. And overall, I believe that's all you need to know about how to pick an AI car or any car for any race in Motorstorm. Let's move on to the next point. Alright, so now let's find out how to change the cars that AI drivers drive and their names. So you should start with the name of the AI driver you want to change. To find out the name, you just have to start the race and finish it. And as you know, after the finish there'll be the summary who taken which place. And so let's say we will start with Svetlana. We enter her name in the text. All AI drivers' names and their cars are between 5.6 addresses and 5.7 addresses. So here we have Svetlana, 5657. And NetCheat crashed. This sucks. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but NetCheat tends to crash like all the time, like it constantly crashes. It's the biggest nuisance in case of modding Motorstorm or really any PS3 game, NetCheat is just as annoying program as it is good, because it's kind of the only one. So let's try it again. Text, match case, Svetlana, 5.6 and 5.7. Initial scan, let's do this. Alright, this will be a fast one. Fast one. Oh boy. And just in seconds. Alright, done. Here we have Svetlana. Let's go onto this address. And here she is. Now, her right is right after her name. This one, as we can see, is not a right, not a vehicle, but most likely her driver model, or maybe some other driver's model as well. Well, whatever, this is not what we need. But here's her right, ATV0206. Now we copy this, change this to ATV0206 and make another scan. We should get 3 addresses, maybe 2, but usually we get 3. Yep, we get 3. So, what we have right here is this address. Here it is, CC9A. This address kinda ties this concrete vehicle to the name of the driver. Now, first address is what the game actually uses to when it determines which vehicle to load onto the track. And the third address is the address that the game uses when it determines which vehicle to load onto its DLC tracks. But the thing is, before searching for this address, you should choose the DLC, like Revenge Weekend or Devil's Weekend, depending on which DLC you actually want to mod, and you have to enter it, because the DLC addresses, they tend to override themselves. I haven't mentioned it, but it is also a case if you mod the environment of the track. So in order to mod the 3D sky or any other environment of the DLC track, you should load the DLC first. Well, as for now, we searched for this ATV0206 vehicle without choosing the DLC, any of them, and also by default the game usually loads up the Coyote Revenge DLC values. I'd suggest if you want to search for the DLC value, you should choose the DLC first and then make another scan. To show you an actual example, I will probably should use the Devil's Weekend Duel race, the last race of the DLC, because as you all know, there is a one-on-one race with Jack Butler, and Jack Butler usually drives Humbler Diablo. So, how I usually should make it is to enter Devil's Weekend, like this. Now I should search for the Jack Butler, then I should find his buggy, which is, as far as I know, buggy 07LV02, and I should run a search for his buggy, but luckily these addresses are static and I have this list of the addresses I've already found right here, and Jack Butler is among them. Here he is. So I should refresh it. As you can see, right now, in my memory, we have the Coyote Revenge values. However, if I'll refresh the view, I'll have some other values. Why? I'm not sure. Alright, it looks like the addresses for the DLC vehicles are not constant. Well, you can always learn something new. I didn't mod the DLC that much, but it looks like the game actually uses a new address every time you load the DLC. That's news. Well, I'm pretty sure that if you load the DLC, as long as you enter the game, the addresses will be just where I've written them. But as of now, I've made several reloads and the addresses, they've changed. This kinda sucks. That means that we have to search for the Jack Butler's buggy once again. But well, what can I do? Let's do this. Oops, that's the wrong one. Let's run new scan. And we have two of them. Now the first one, because it is the DLC, the first one is the address that ties the name of the driver to the vehicle of the driver to its name, pardon me, and the second one is the one we actually need, V2. And let's change this to say 2, LV2, buggy 02, LV02. Let's start the headcut duel. And let's take a look at the buggy that the Jack Butler have chosen now. As you can see, it's not a Humbler Diablo, but a Wombat Typhoon. But the thing is, as you might have understood, the Jack Butler's name is not tied to the Wombat Typhoon, it's tied to the buggy 07LV02, which is Wombat Diablo. And that's true. As for now, the driver we are racing against is not Jack Butler, but Greg Chen, because his name is tied to buggy 02LV02. If we want it to be the Jack Butler, well, before load the race I should change the Greg Chan's name to the other buggy, well, it may be even non-existent one, whatever I care, I won't load Greg Chen anyway. And it really doesn't matter. Sometimes it actually works without this, but just to be sure you should change this, and we need then to choose the place in the code which ties buggy 0702 to Jack Butler's name, and we then can change this to 0202, the same buggy that we've written for the game to load for the DLC. Now it will be Jack Butler. Also, I might notice, and this is a good example, as you can see, Jack Butler is kind of exception to the rule that the name goes first and then there goes the right, as Jack Butler is written right here and his buggy is written before the name. This is truly an exception, but it happens sometimes. What can I say? In this case, the only real, like, fail-safe way to find the vehicle code for the, for the driver you need is to check which car he drives on a track and, I don't know, make a screenshot or something, and then use what you've learned in a previous part of a tutorial and find that vehicle yourself on a vehicle selection screen by changing, liveries until you find the livery you need, and then you should run the search for that vehicle. The other thing I wanted to show you is how to change driver names. Well, right here we can change Jack Butler name, but it should be not longer than the name we already have. Though in Jack Butler's case it can actually take over this buggy 07LV01 because the game really does not use this buggy by default, so we can write whatever we want here, like, I don't know, really whatever we want, John Butler, whatever, and when we will reload the race, the driver will appear with his new name. As you can see, like in case of, well, Svetlana, let's load Svetlana once again, she's somewhere in here as well. Here she is, let's load up Svetlana. Oops, that's the wrong address, sorry. Here's the address that determines the vehicle to a name. So in case of Svetlana, actually after the name we has a character model, and we really shouldn't replace this because this will most likely freeze our game. So in case of Svetlana we has only 7, 8, 9 letters. The devs actually forgot an empty space right here. Well, 9 letters, but that's it. And if you want to make someone with a longer name, let's say Danger can write somebody with that long of a name, we need to replace accordingly the vehicle to the name that is of the correct length to us. So we have here buggy 02 LV02. Let's change this to 72, and now we choose Danger can write. Here he is, Danger can write, and now we change this buggy 0106 to buggy 02 LV02. Now we have Danger can write driving the buggy 02 LV02, and we have a whooping 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 letters of a name that we can use. Well, now if you don't care that much about the names, all you need to change is that address which determines which car will the game load for a track, because really the devs have assigned names to any cars. I like all of them. The ones that only player can use, the DLC cars, well, they all have their names already attached, and you do not really need to care about that part that much. You just swap those addresses that determines the vehicle that the game loads for the track, and that's about it. It will assign the names itself. There are several problems with this, of course, and I believe the most, game-breaking one is when you load addresses like this. So here we have Bridgewater Don in his bike 02 LV02, and here right after bike 02 LV02 we have bike 01 LV01, which is used by Hannibal Figini. Thing is, both of these bikes are loaded for a thunderstorm race on a Stampede ticket. So let's say we want to replace this bike with a mud plugger 07, whoops! And as you can see, we really cannot use any more letters, because if we will proceed onto writing the livery of this mud plugger, we will overwrite the bike that is used by Hannibal Figini, and the game will freeze if we will attempt to load up the thunderstorm race of a Stampede ticket. But let's say we really want this mud plugger to be there. How should we do this? Well, let me show you. The only real method to overcome this limitation is to do it like this. Let's bring that bike back. Let's now go onto the thunderstorm in Stampede. Here it is. I don't know, whatever, really. Let's just launch it. And now we should freeze our game like we've did it already. And now we know that Bridgewater Don drives bike 02 LV02, and we search for it somewhere in between 57 and 60, just like we did it with our own car. And yes, this is the only method by which you can run the 15 mud pluggers race, which I've showcased in one of the videos. Alright, so here we have basically our search done. And let's check this address, E8A8. This is most likely the wrong one, but I'll keep it in mind. 93, this looks good. 93 7C29E, and this completely wrong one. 994F233C. And I guess this is the correct one. Yep. And we can change bike02 LV02 to say modplugger 07 LV01. We should check that there is 00 after the 1 in the hex, and it is 00 indeed. Also, while we are here, should I point out that there is a lot of racers and their cars in this place of code around them, and this is basically how I determine if the address is correct. You can see here the name of Hannibal Figini himself right here. And here is his bike, 01 LV01. We can change it to some other thing. Let's say, I don't know, well, I don't know, let's have another modplugger. Oops. Yep, watch what you're writing, because if you'll mess this up, let me double check it, because I don't want my PS3 to freeze. If you'll mess it up, it will freeze. Modplugger 07 LV02, for example. Also, you can see that there is no Bridgewater Dunn name. We can see Hannibal Figini, Pasha Svetna right here, and Salim Sivani right here, Mira Hawk, but there is no Bridgewater Dunn. Well, why it is so? The answer is easy. While the game loads most of these AI names and their vehicles into this place of code, well, some of them are kinda tend to be written into other places of code for some reason, so it is a normal, a normal thing. And in one of my videos that showcased the modding abilities, that showcased my mods, I've mentioned that if you want to choose two same vehicles, they will be written up into the game with the same driver names. Or there is also that thing that some liveries of the DLC vehicles are assigned to use the same driver names. For example, the Mach Queen Adventure modplugger, all three liveries of them are using the Bungle driver name. So if you really want to change the driver's name and use different driver names for one vehicle or something like that, that's the place where you can change their names as well. You can write whatever you want here, but as you can see, for the Bridgewater Dunn, if we want to change his name at this point, we should run a separate search, because Bridgewater Dunn is written somewhere else into the code. But otherwise, he's somewhere here, somewhere in here, yeah, between 57 and 60. You can also change your own name right here. I've just saw myself, oh, here I am, Ross, that's me. And my car is here as well, just like we've searched for it. We can actually change our right as well. Let's say, I don't know, just for the kicks of it, modplugger 04 LV01. Once again, let's check that there are double zeros. There are double zeros for sure, and here we have double zeros as well. Well, at this point, let's launch our race. Oh, my controller disconnected. Come on, you gotta ruin my showcase. Yeah, I know. I just connected it after all. And here we are. As you can see, there are no bikers in this race, but we have two Atlas Warjacks, starting on the very first positions. The bikers are gone, and we've changed them, and I myself drive this, I believe, Monarch, I don't remember the name. Well, whatever. That's how it works. Let me think for a minute if I have something else to cover, or we can move on to other places. Alright, so I've actually figured out I should show you that, you know, just let's choose this one, Greg Chan, why not? Oh, this is his buggy. Greg Chan, here's his buggy 02LV02, and I know that this buggy 01LV02 is not used by the Thunderstorm in the Ticket Stampede, so I can safely overwrite it with a random... Oops. Once again, watch what you write, double check it. Modplugger 07 LV01, let's say. And this is buggy. Should replace this Y with double zeros in hex. And that's about it. The game will load up Stampede, however, if after that I'll accidentally load up the track which uses that buggy that we've just overwritten, the buggy 01LV02, we will get a freeze. I hope at this point I do not have to explain why, because all what we've left of the buggy 01LV02 is 01LV02 and no word buggy. So, yep, you will get a freeze. You should only load Stampede at this point and not any other track. The other thing I wanted to point out, let's just... come on, thank you. Let's load Stampede and let's just for a moment do a little mod. You know, it's at this point you can actually move to the other part of the tutorial. This here I will show just one interesting little thing. Let's replace Grizzly with a Daytona to make it faster. Once again, watch what you write. This Daytona would get me a freeze. Now Daytona won't get me a freeze. Alright, so as of now we've changed Greg Chen to buggy 0201, I believe, and the game usually have addresses for all driver names. However, I want to show you what will happen if we will accidentally choose a driver for a race who doesn't have a driver name assigned. Now, let's make it with Triv, she drives buggy 0203, and let's just, you know, delete buggy 02LV03 altogether from the code. Like this. And now let's set buggy 0203 for the Stampede. Oh, haha, I've actually almost fucked it up. I completely forgot, but the game actually uses that buggy 01LV01. It is Mira Hog buggy. Well, let's say if the game wouldn't use it, that would be just like I've said. Oops, I forgot LV. Damn it. Yeah, you really need some, you know, practice. Alright, buggy. So, 01LV02, let it stay. So let's replace Greg Chan with buggy 02LV03. And who we have here instead of Greg Chan is dummy character. So if there's no name of a driver assigned to the car, the game is just load dummy character as a name. So that's probably the only, you know, fail-safe system in the whole game. Otherwise you have to be extremely precise in what you are loading for the track and what you are writing into the code, because one small error and you'll get a freeze, and the only option you'll have is to restart your PS3. But yep, the only small failsafe is if you have the character name not assigned to the current car that is loaded for the track, well, then you'll just have a dummy character, but the game will load. That's about it for the driver modding, I suppose. Let's move on to the next point. Alright, I think one more thing I should show you is how to swap the player's place onto the starting grid. Well, that's a really easy thing to do. You need to use that place where the game determines which vehicles it should load onto the track. Thing is, among all the driver's vehicles, you can find that place where it says player. And all you need to do is to swap player with one of the drivers and swap that driver with the player. Of course, you have to do it with every track you want to play, because, as you might understand, all tracks load player from one place, and if you swap the player with, let's do this, say with Pasha Svetna, I suppose. Pasha Svetna drives ATV05LV04. Let's do this. ATV05LV04. As you can see, we now cannot really load any tracks that uses Big Rig 01 LV02, and basically every track now will attempt to load an ATV05 LV04 instead of a player. I haven't really tested it, but I suppose this will result in a freeze, because every mistake in a Motorstorm results in a freeze. But I know for sure that at least one track named Thunderstorm in a Ticket Stampede uses ATV05 LV04. And now if we will replace an ATV05 LV04 with a player, don't forget to place a 00 between the player and the remains of ATV LV04, whatever. And now if we will attempt the load Stampede or any other track that uses ATV, namely Pasha Svetna's ATV03 LV04 or Salim Sivani, I do not already remember who we replaced, but whatever. If we will load one of those tracks, it will replace that ATV with a player. Once again, I haven't tested it much. You can do your own tests and, I don't know, replace everyone with the player and enjoy your freeze, or you can try and run a track without a player at all. I don't know what it will be. Maybe you'll get one of those spectacular cameras. I'm not sure. If you'll test it, well, let me know the results down there in the commentary. I'm surely interested in those. And here we are. As you can see, I'm starting in the very first line of the starting grid. That's how you do it. That's it. Alright, my droogies, at this point I believe we've covered all the, most important stuff, but let's do like a real deal last effort and move on to the real small thing as a character model changing. Swapping character models, so you can choose your favorite driver model for every car. It's a really small thing, so I think I'll be, fast for it. So first thing I should show you is, as you can see, our Mohawk Roadhog 3 uses this driver model of the black driver with, I don't know, some helmet, but let's really quickly change it swap it for Dmitry Molotov in this place, in the place where the driver names are assigned with a vehicle, assigned to the vehicle. 56F55168. This is bike 07 LV02. Let's give Dmitry Molotov a bike 07 LV03, because we need a 03 bike, not a 02. And let's try to load it. And as you can see, the driver model is changed, because this is actually the model used by Dmitry Molotov. Yep, thing is, when you load a vehicle, you not only load, any character model, you kinda load that character, that character who drives that vehicle as well. So right now our Mohawk Roadhog is driven by Dmitry Molotov, and we've loaded Dmitry Molotov as well. But let's say we want another driver model for this bike. So once again, picking a poking, I found an address which determines our current driver model. This is 56F51F30. 56F51F30. And this is kinda our class of a driver model. And our actual driver model is a bit lower here. It is mSparkoRig LV02. This is our current driver model. Now, to change it, we should once again run a scan somewhere in between 5.6 and 5.7. Also, usually the liveries for the driver models are somewhere from 0.1 to 0.7, though some can be a bit, there can be a bit more of them in some cases, and I believe one of the classes of the driver models ended up with 0.6 also, and at this point I do not really remember which, and I've never bothered. Oh, I've actually written it down here. At this point I did not bother really which I did not bother to create the full list of driver models available, though I believe there should also be F-Exorigs as well. Should probably write it down here. But this is, I'm not sure about this, you should probably try it yourself, test it, and you probably will get a freeze, but you can only, count how much freezes I've got during all these things. And meanwhile, NetCheat finished scanning. First address, F19, is this address we have in memory right now, and the second address, F5CE75, is the one we need to change, CE75. Now, unlike cars, we can change the driver model right here, right now, because the game does not constantly reads it, and we do not need to pause our game. We can change the driver model. Oh, I should close this right here without doing anything. Let's do this with the hardest one, One Piece Rig 07, that's my favorite for the bike. One Piece Rig LV07. Now, as you can see, we once again kinda overwritten a part of a buggy. However, this is the part of a code that determines which name assigned to the driver. So it won't really do thing, but if we will load a race which uses GR Jono in his buggy 03 LV02, we will get a dummy character. But that's about it. So now let's reload, and here we have our new driver model. Well, not new, but the one we've chosen. And that's about it, we can now launch it. If you really need that buggy to be here once again, you can launch the, let's say we really need that buggy, so let's do this with SparkoRig LV02, and then we shoot 00 buggy. If we will launch the game right now, as far as I remember, it will actually load that SparkoRig LV02, not the one we have right here at this point. So I'll reload it just to be sure. And now we choose this SparkoRig, we start the game, we pause it, we use a new scan, once again we go into the address range between 57 and 60, we search for mSparkoRig LV02. Oops, now look closely, we have to pause our game here via the Prodigy target manager. We have to make it, make this list, open this list, select the kernel explorer and press this pause. Why I've had to do this all of a sudden? Because my NetCheat froze again and it unpaused the game. Yep, it froze and unpaused the game. So let's relaunch our NetCheat. Oh man, this NetCheat is a bane. Connect, attach, pause the game again. Once the NetCheat attached to the process, it unfreezes the game once again. So yeah, let's do this. 5700006000. Initial scan. Oh man, NetCheat really is having a ball right now. Heck. Well, let's launch it again. Okay. Connect, attach, pause, search, text, match case, 57. Because I believe I have some extra zero down there. Yep, that's correct. Finally, don't forget to freeze the game again. This really happens. At least I'm recording it, so I won't have to do it again. And here we have a lot of sparkle rigs, and we have really to find the one which is used by the game at this point. As usual, choose the one that doesn't have any additional characters behind the LV02. Let's start with 57FCA00F. That's definitely the wrong one. And 5807 D2D0. What do we have here? Yep, as you can see, there are other rigs and some mod plugger in here and the driver's name, so this is most likely the correct address which is used by the current instance of the loaded of the track that is in the process of loading. So let's change it with something really really noticeable. Let's use white and pink. Yes, this F Sparkle Rig LV02. Oh, that's a quick change. We just change M with F and that's about it. We press play. And here we are. I have a female model on this Mohawk Roadhog. And that's basically all you have to know in terms of changing your driver model. If you want to change it for the characters, for the AI characters, well, it's the same thing. You just can, swap their, if you really need it, you can swap the, one moment. You just swap their vehicles, like I swapped that bike, I've given it to Dmitry Molotov, and I could see which character model he uses. And yes, when I change that address to the Sparko, let's say where it is again, yeah, when I've changed that Sparko Rig LV02, I've changed not only the character model that is loaded on the track, I've changed it for every driver that uses this Sparko Rig LV02, including Dmitry Molotov. So yeah, that's how you do it, but even I've never changed the models for AI drivers, so I believe you won't need it. Alright, so the first nuance of the Motorstorm modding which I should mention is that you should be extremely careful when you are swapping the track with the Dust Devil Rev track, which is Devil's Crossing. For some reason, as I've mentioned in one of my showcase videos, it has some quirk and it works by chance when there are over 13 drivers. So your safest way to do a mod on a Devil's Crossing is to use an actual 13 drivers layout as the track uses it in the DLC. That race that was second to last, first, the one before the headcut duel. Yeah, and that is the nuance I've completely forgot to mention in the original video, and I'm only writing it right now, so yeah. But that's about it. So be careful when you are modding a Devil's Crossing, or when you are making a track swap with the Devil's Crossing. It is indeed possible to launch 15 races on it, but be ready to get a freeze. So I'm really not sure if I've forgotten something at this point. If I did, I'll probably add it in the commentary, but you know, I'm pretty sure that I've covered all the most important parts of it. And I think I will just show you several interesting points of the code, just you know, something that I found in the process of finding the correct addresses. Let's start, let's say, with this. Yep, that's a good place to start. So once again, 508EB2A8, 508EB2A, 508EB2A8. This address actually leads us to all the card textures that we have somewhere in the game files. They are sorted by the alphabet, starting with an ATV, and they go down like this. What this code is useful for? Well, it contains all the correct names of the big rigs and of all the vehicles that you can use, so you should just check it if you want to, you know, be sure that this livery exists. For example, let's look at the Rally Car 01 address right here. Here it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Yep, as you can see, Patriot Surger doesn't have the livery 07. And if you'll attempt to load the livery 07, well, the game will freeze. That's what this address is useful for, although I must notice that this list of liveries doesn't have the DLC liveries, so you won't find the livery, I don't know, 12 for the Big Rig 01, which is Castro Varadero, because Big Rig 01 LV12 is that Christmas livery, and as you can see, the last livery for the Big Rig 01 is LV11, which is a Death Cab Valkyria's livery. This list also tells us that all those liveries in the game files are in a very simple and very well understandable DDS files. And unfortunately, there's no way to unpack the game archives, and of course there's twice no way to repack them back. However, if somebody really skilled would be able to do this, there'd be no problems replacing any of these liveries with your own, because everybody knows DDS. Once the game is unpacked, all you have to do is to draw your own DDS file, and that's it. Unfortunately, this is so close yet so far. The other point of interest I found, and it is a really small one, can be noted near this driver, and let's go right here. Oops, sorry, I didn't really copy it. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Happens. This one. Alright, so let's take a look around here. As you can see, for example, we have Hrolf, who drives Big Rig 01 LV10, or Andy Seymour, who drives Big Rig 01 LV9, or Chris Maka, who drives Big Rig 01 LV08. However, if we will go to our previous address and to the Big Rig 09, you will notice that there is no such textures in the files of the game. There's only 7 and 11, no 9, no 10. These are some leftovers of the drivers and liveries that were, I believe, supposed to be in the game, however, they did not make it. If you'll attempt to load them, well, you'll get a freeze, however, this is definitely an interesting thing to note. Castro Varadero at some point used several more liveries than there are. And the last thing I wanted to show to you is how to swap the Motorstorm music with your own favorite MP3 files. Well, of course, it is always a viable option just to turn off the music volume in the game and launch your favorite MP3 player, but Motorstorm actually supports legit music swapping. So what you need to do is to connect to your FTP, to your PS3 via FTP, or just open the game folder in your PS3 Multiman file explorer. Now let's go into the game folder, PS3 game, user dir, audio, And here's all the music that we have in the game. As you can see, there are two files. One of them is dubbed Live-Fi. I'm not sure what this is, probably one another leftover of what was planned for the Motorstorm. This Live-Fi version of music files, they have some kind of an audience, you know, audience sounds, those people cheering and all that stuff, written with the music, and I've never actually heard even one of those Live-Fi files being used by the game itself, so you just ignore them. Oh, you can, I don't know, use for your own entertainment, but there's nothing you can do with them. And let's say if you want to replace Animal Logic with your own song, you just take your song, rename that file with Animal Logic just as it is renamed just as it named right here in the game folder, and then you just replace this Animal Logic with your own one. That should work, at least it worked for me. But I believe I once got a freeze when I replaced the Allied Force DC, and I haven't replaced the DLC songs ever since. I'm not sure, you can just try and test it, but that's how you do it. Well, that's about it when it comes to my second tutorial. I hope I haven't forget anything. If I did, I will write it down there in the commentaries, and I will gladly help you with all the problems you may get. However, the only problem I wouldn't be able to help you is something that you haven't understood. So don't write in a commentary, you know, just something banal like I haven't understand this and that. Man, I've described it as good as I possibly could describe it. So if you haven't understood something, I really can't help, I'm sorry. However, if you are doing everything according to my tutorial and something does not work, or if you have strayed somewhere into the parts of the code which I haven't covered in my tutorial and have troubles with it, well, that's something you can write about in comments, and that is something I will do my best to help you with. Also, I should say, if you'll do a video or something like that using this tutorial, please post a link to your video in the comments. I really want to see what you can come up with using this tutorial. I'm not sure if there will be anyone posting links, but well, I figured I should say this, so I did. And yeah, I did my best with this tutorial. I really hope you found it useful. I really hope you've liked it. And I truly hope you will stay tuned for more. Thanks for being with me, and good luck.